This video is brought to you by the energy team at Atlas, a vertically integrated EV technology ecosystem company. Hello and welcome to another Out of Spec Reviews video. Forgive some of the wind right now, but I wanted to take you on a full tour of just the insane luxury features that are in the BMW i7 behind me. It's equipped with the theater display, the executive rear seats, and it is truly one of the finest cars on sale, and actually rivaling brands from way nicer than BMW would lead you to believe. I'm talking Bentley and even right on the foothills of Rolls-Royce. So let me take you on a full tour. I'm going to show you some of the exterior features briefly, but this is all about the inside, the luxury, the chauffeur experience. It's the BMW i7, and I'm showing you why it's so freaking awesome. We came down in the parking garage because it's so windy out there, but a couple things that the BMW does, that could be considered luxury are things that like even a 3 Series does. What I really want to focus on are the main, real highlight luxurious features that you're really only going to find in the 7. And honestly, above any electric car before that. But let me take you on a quick tour of it, and I'll tell you some of the specs. The i7 starts at about 100 grand, which is a lot of car for the money. It's right there with EQS. Sort of the A8 level Audi doesn't have a similar car that's electric. But what's interesting about the 7 Series is it shares its counterpart with combustion versions. But what's kind of cool is it's sort of an electric designed car first that they then adapted to be combustion. So it's actually the first reversed shared platform that we've ever seen. So I think that's really interesting. Most electric cars, of course, are combustion cars that are converted to electric. Not the case here, at least with what BMW tells me. Again, we're focusing just on the i7. Now the spec on this one is $152,000, has a 107, 108 kilowatt hour usable battery pack, 2 motors, unbelievably smooth suspension. And what's funny is this is the exact car I drove months ago in Palm Springs on the first drive. So it's been nice to spend the week with it here in California again, doing some testing, future videos to come. But one thing I really just wanted to show you were all the crazy cool luxury features, because I've been driving this thing around, and Anna, you've been riding in the back seat. And what do you think so far?
It's luxurious, for sure.
It's just crazy how well built and solid everything is. But then there's a few like chintzy bits that I'm not totally sure BMW got right. A huge thanks to the energy group from Atlas for sponsoring today's video. Guys, electric vehicles, especially in heavy duty applications, are going to require some serious energy storage. So Atlas has been working to perfect a energy storage solution in the form of their new battery cell technology that can handle extreme heat, extreme cold, and extreme high heavy usage without much degradation. It's pretty incredible. So not only do you need a cell that can withstand all of the abuse, you also need to charge it very quickly. And that is where their megawatt charging standard comes into play. They're actually developing a whole network of DC fast charging around 1 megawatt, maybe even above, that will handle CCS, MCS, and their own proprietary connector and handle design that they hope will become the future. It's pretty interesting as well because this cell technology works perfectly with the high power charging infrastructure to charge full in about 15 minutes, even if it's dead cold or dead hot. Now, you guys know that has me really intrigued, so keep an eye on some future videos because we're going to be showing some of their work real time. I can't wait to explore what they're working on. Some hardcore fast charging of some heavy duty battery packs coming to you very soon. A huge thank you to the energy team at Atlas for sponsoring today's video. So, full tour, come with me. You have a very nice homogeneous taillight, if you will, with a little bit of detail in there. The electric version of the 7 Series, the i7, gets the smallest trunk, but it's actually quite large. One downside with this over competitors, though, not very luxurious, is because this one has the executive rear seats with the recline and everything, you can't fold the seats down. So that's your trunk space. There's no front trunk either. So, luxury features. We got these exclusive BMW individual, it's upside down right now, 21-inch wheels. They have a whole bunch of different wheels for this car. These are optional as the luxury wheel option. Personally, I think it fits the car really well. There is something odd about 7 Series styling that I'm not totally into. I feel like they missed the boat somewhere here, and mostly it has to do with around up front, but even the back is a little bit weird. It almost looks a little CGI. In terms of some of the big grille BMWs that are coming out, this is certainly one of them, and it has the lights to even accentuate the big grille. I actually kind of like the way it looks, but I don't know. I feel like BMW lost their way. The best looking BMW of all time was the E38 generation 7 Series, which goes back to the early 2000s, late 90s maybe, and just one of the best cars ever. And I have to own one of those one day. I'd love to get a 750 V12 in the collection. I saw one that had a manual transmission. Topic for another day. Let's continue along here. The 7 Series has crystal headlights, or at least running lights here. Anna, do you think that's luxurious?
No, it looks really cheap to me.
Looks really cheap. I kind of agree, and this is where there's so many things so many things this car does so well, and then so many things that are like, okay, looks maybe okay from a distance, but not great in person. And the biggest one is on the inside. So coming around, forgive the car being slightly dirty. We're conserving water in California. I can click this little button and the door will automatically open, but it takes a long time. So luxury that you can get in the car, right? But let me just demonstrate this really quick to you. To actually, and it's got auto close, the time it takes for the door to swing open, no matter what, even if I stand clear of the sensors. Take a look, I push the button, we're waiting, and there it goes. Not the fastest thing on the planet, and the rear doors actually kind of work the same way. You can click this button, it pauses, and then it opens. The thing with the 7 Series is everything, you can't be in a rush when you own this car or use the features. Everything is confirmations, a step. But if you slow down your life, if you have the ability to do that, it really becomes a very nice place to experience. Now, one thing that's interesting is, Anna, why don't you have a seat in there? And we're going to show how the door sometimes doesn't actually recognize that you're in. So if you put your feet on the outside, like we did last night with the door, and you can hit the door close button right there, it'll just squish you. And it squishes really hard, doesn't it?
It does. Oh, it's doing it again.
Doing it again. Oh, jamming into you.
Yep.
And then you can see it flashes this little screen red like there's an obstacle. So it has so much force when it closes against someone's legs that you're like, I mean, you were suggesting not to keep children back there.
Yeah, it would hurt a child. It's not safe.
Okay, so while we're on the topic of negatives, I actually like the idea of the auto doors. I think there's only one other glaring downside here, and that would be this wraparound lighting thing. And you can see it moves and it flows, and it has this sort of, I don't know, ambiance to it. It might look really nice on video, but it's just straight plastic.
Looks like there's paper inside of it too for dimension.
Yeah, you think paper is what? Now, yeah.
It's shaped and it looks, something looks wrong with it.
So you're not a fan of that. Yeah, but I think you can even see some of the lighting is really cool on the ground, this sort of effect where it flows in and out. So I think that's really all of the negatives. Everything else, material-wise, this wool is 100% the interior to go with, these metal grates with the sound system behind it. Really just amazing. So let's hop inside. Anna, I think I'll sit in the back seat first, and you can chauffeur me around. Then we'll switch, and let's go see what this thing is like out on the road, and that's where the luxury starts to happen. Oh, so to actually close the driver's door, you have two options.
Here?
That one or the brake pedal. So there's the brake pedal. Yeah, I think you have to keep pressing it. Yep. Nice. Tesla did that 6 years ago. All right, time to go for a drive. I've got the seat in executive lounge mode right here. I'm not sure how hard it is to actually get in with the seat like this. Not bad. Door auto closing if I want it to. Very nice. Of course you can do manual closing. Let's just get the seatbelt buckled up here, and Anna will be driving. So I'm just kind of laying flat in the back of the i7, We have a beautiful glass roof that's actually obstructed by a TV screen, which actually, before we start driving, Anna, let me just show the screen right here.
Yep.
I can hit this display and fold down the display and take a look at this. Never seen anything like it before. What's interesting is the rear shade seems extra dark to actually stop glare off of this. And on this display, you can pull up YouTube, Netflix. I think it's all run by Amazon, whatever it is. But I've already shown you some of its functions in my first drive, but at least you can have a theater experience. The one downside to this screen, Anna, there was a couple. Your dad absolutely destroyed his head.
He really hurt himself.
Yeah, I don't know. He got in and the screen was down and just whacked the crap out of his head.
It was bad. Yeah, he was not happy.
So maybe there should be a light. We were thinking maybe an LED around the screen could have really helped.
Or a reset, right? When you get out of the car and turn it off, it goes back up.
Yep, could be the reset that every time you exit the car, the screen is up. That's very possible. The other downside of the screen is when it's down as the driver, you can't actually see out the back, and the rear view mirror doesn't have a digital mirror option. I really think they missed out on that. That would have been a great function right there. So, Anna, let's rock and roll, because I got the full executive seat experience here.
Yep.
And yeah, you're going to be cruising in this giant cruise ship right here. Rear steering is unbelievable in this. We'll insert a clip in just a moment showing you all of that. But take a look here on the side of things that I can do on this display while we're driving around. So on the side here, I can choose media. I can call people. I can, of course, pull the display around, but of course, I can adjust seat. So I have heating and cooling with multiple levels if I choose to. And that's really great. I can also control the passenger side heating and cooling from here. Aside from the seat climate control, I have massage functions. So I think what I'm going to do actually is go for the whole body activation. Let's go for a pressure point massage on full intensity and full speed. Very, very nice. Also, there are some seating adjustments that I don't actually remember how to get to that. Maybe you can't do it while you're moving to pull it out of this executive mode. Not totally sure there. But we have a blind function, so I can actually raise and open all of the blinds. You can see the roof goes, the side goes, and now we're in full blockage mode. It's just going past the screen here and coming, so very much a cocoon experience back here. And the one, I would say, main luxury feature of the 7 is I have my head in a pillow. I'm laying completely flat out here, right? Just full lounge situation. And I cannot hear or even feel a thing. This is such a quiet and comfortable car that it's truly unbelievable how serene it is. And I've never been in a vehicle as quiet as this. Now, I said that when I first drove the car for the original time in Palm Springs a few months ago, and thank you all for watching that video. I think it's done 100,000 something views. Really appreciate that. However, I was like, I really need to spend time with this, make sure I'm not going crazy. Truly, this thing at 100 miles an hour, allegedly, is whisper quiet. The motors make no noise. It's so quiet and so serene. So that to me is really the peak luxurious feature of this car. And aside from the amazing massage and seating position that I'm being able to sit in back here, you have great air management in the car. There's actually quite a bit of air vents and airflow, but you don't hear the fans pushing air on you. It's all these little small details that add up to a very nice package. The material usage in this is just absolutely wonderful. So I think you guys get the idea of the back seat. We have a nice center console with some storage. It's not certainly not on the level of like a Maybach or maybe a Bentley Mulsanne, if you will, but for a let's say you could spec it with this car similar to $140,000. I think you're hard pressed to find a more comfortable, quiet, and luxurious feeling vehicle. Aside from some of the little plastic usage throughout everything, this is truly, I think value for dollar if you're looking to be driven around. Yeah, no question. But not everyone wants to be driven around all the time. So what about for those who just want to have the experience of actually driving the car. And I think that's actually the case for a lot of maybe chauffeur option vehicles, not full limousines, but a 7 Series, an S-Class, if you will. Those are types of vehicles, these that we're in right now, where maybe for a long trip, for the airport run, you'll have a driver bring you over there. You can bang out work in the back seat, whatever you got to do. However, if you just want to run to the store, these are vehicles that are also unbelievably nice to drive. And that to me is just a, I think a very important quality to have in a car, is something that's comfortable to drive just as much as it is to be driven in. So I'm going to jump in the front seat. Anna's going to hop back here in the executive lounge seat. Parking sensors work. You're in a tight situation over here?
Yeah, I don't know which road I went down, but
very nice.
Great choice.
Yeah, great choice. But how does it feel to drive up there, Anna?
It's super smooth. I really like it.
Yeah, it's unbelievably quiet and easy and comfortable.
Yeah, even for the driver.
I'm going to get up there, talk about suspension, steering, rear steer calibration, some other technology in this, and then we'll wrap it up and call it a video. And this is just a quick little thing to show you guys that the 7 Series is more than specs on paper. Time to get out now, so I'm going to click. Actually, let's just see. I think the seat should automatically fold up. Yes, we had it in child lock before. So as I automatically open the door, the rear seat folds back into a normal position. And of course, the front passenger seat can come to where it needs to go to. But just awesome. Again, everything takes time. Adjustments take time. So if you have time to burn, then all of this kind of makes sense and adds up. Works great. So welcome to the back seat of the 7 Series. Please have a seat.
That's where I liked.
Yes. Okay. And then I think we'll go to the full executive lounge option for you. So you can see the bottoms coming up here. And then it should start flying around. There you go. What do you think about it back here?
It's so comfortable. I could sleep back here easily, especially with this.
Yeah, the pillow's nice, the heat, the cool. You can see the headrest is moving up. There's just adjustments everywhere in this car.
Massage.
It's truly crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, these are seats that you get in the back of like $180,000 to $200,000 Maybach. And it's here in a, relatively mundane, I'd say it with a grain of salt because it's still expensive, $150,000 7 Series, and it's fully electric. It's just so cool.
I love it.
Yeah. All right. You'll hold the camera. I'll hop up there. So keep that rolling. And you can show everyone how you can close the door.
Yep. You just press this button. There we go.
Here we go. Oh, I guess I don't have to touch anything.
Nope.
There we go.
Got my massage on.
Oh, nice. Actually, what's interesting, Anna, if you go into the My Mode section on that screen, and
I'm not even sure what that is.
Yeah, it's the right one, middle right one.
Yep.
Yeah, and then you click Relax.
There.
Right, it will automatically change the ambient lighting, the suspension, the drivetrain tuning, and put the shades up and the massage on automatically. So that's the mode to drive the i7. All right, let's start this thing up. Some noises. This actually being all the way up, really not a problem for visibility. I can still see fully out the side mirror, which is pretty impressive and actually not common because I've driven a few of these luxury limousine type vehicles, if you will, and it's always hard to see out the right side with the seat like this, but no problem here at all. So let's talk about why the 7 Series drives great. And there's a couple points to point on here, but the first is I'm going to talk about the throttle calibration. And so what I mean by that is in Tesla, in other electric vehicles, most of them, when you hit the accelerator pedal, what it does is it actually just denotes the power output of the motor. So in the Rivian, for example, if you go 50% throttle, you'll actually start to slow down a little bit. Then Tesla actually does the opposite. They ramp up a little bit harder. What the 7 Series does is it targets the same level of acceleration based off of your pedal input. So when you get set to accelerate up to a road, you really want to have a smooth experience for the driver, which means no matter the hill, no matter what's going on, you just want the passenger to feel the exact same level of acceleration throughout the speed range. So here I've selected a throttle position. And it doesn't matter if we're doing 25 miles an hour or 120 miles an hour, it's going to accelerate at that same G rate. So it means there's no shifting, there's no sort of jerkiness to the passenger, and they don't really feel the notion of acceleration. Anna, you were talking about it earlier that it kind of felt like a jet plane, if you will.
It did. Yeah, actually made me feel like a bit nauseous because I focused on the feeling so much, since all the other senses are muted a bit. You can't hear the sound too much. It's not too bumpy, so that's all I felt. It's interesting, but I'm sure you'd get used to it.
Right, but that's also, this is the first time we've ever been able to experience sort of an executive sedan being electric. The EQS is not even near this level of room in the backseat and comfort. I can't fit in the backseat of EQS. And you get this, it's just not even in the same conversation of what's going on back there. And with the i7, we're starting to notice that because yes, it's quiet and yes, it's comfortable, that's normal for executive sedans, there's actually no engine noise and no shifting pattern, which leaves the passenger senses to be almost over, or at least hyperactive on the movements of the car. So as a driver, you have to be so much smoother in this than you would a Maybach, S680 with the V12, because there's just no noise, there's nothing. And those are very quiet cars, but you can at least tell things are going on in the background. This is just magnetic force pulling you along. Would you agree, Anna?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so throttle is pretty good on this, but you really, as a limo driver, you need to have just such smooth and deliberate and set throttle positions. The next up is the steering. The steering in this car is truly wonderful. And not from a performance standpoint, I already gave you my thoughts on the first drive, but from a luxury standpoint, it's weighted very nicely. But where the magic happens is the rear wheel steering. The calibration. There are a lot of cars with rear wheel steering. Taycan, EQS, the list goes on. The way BMW has tuned the rear wheel steering, and I just brought on the little voice person because I said her name. The way BMW's tuned this rear steering is just far better than any other vehicle I've driven. So take a look at us going up a parking garage with rear wheel steering, and then we're actually going to go back down using the reversing assistant. Check out these clips, it's pretty neat. Just to demonstrate the rear steering, we are in a tight parking garage right here, but I'm able to just easily maneuver this cruise ship around. But look at this full lock, and we just whoop. It's maybe not as aggressive as the EQS rear steering, but it actually responds faster. So I find that it's even more useful. Also, BMW has a pretty aggressive tip-in on the rear steering, especially at low speed. So you actually can put in just a small amount of steering lock and really get this thing to move around. It's maybe, I think, probably the perfect compromise between a Taycan, which only has 1 or 2 degrees, versus an EQS, which can go up to 10 degrees. This right in the middle feels really nice, makes the car feel very agile, but not overly gimmicky, a little bit like Mercedes systems might be. So yeah, rear steering in this, super helpful, really nice, and I think calibrated better than any of the competitors. Guys, we're actually backing down the parking garage now using the reversing assistant. Now, I have done a whole video using this reversing assistant. And what BMW is doing is it's actually remembering, strangely, the exact path that we took on the way into this parking garage, including the humps. So I'm monitoring all around the car, making sure we're not going to hit anything, but it's laser focused on the exact path we used to come up this exact parking garage, and it remembers about 600 feet. So it's just bringing us backwards down the entire level using really no sensors, just a remembering of the path. So if you have a crazy driveway that you get into every time, you throw this sucker in reverse, hit backup assistant, you can mindlessly just back this thing right out. It's actually a cool video. I've made some videos on it with a 3 Series, and it just is even more useful the bigger the car gets. I mean, we are literally just driving backwards, and it is millimeter perfect following the path that we used to get up here. What a really neat experience. Super neat experience, and a very useful tool. There's someone coming up, so let's not crash into them. And there you go, the BMW backup assistant. Technology increasing luxury, in my opinion. that's just mindless backing up. Super great. And that's really the i7. The luxury doesn't necessarily come from the features of it. And it's very hard to convey all this in a YouTube video because it's sort of one of those things you have to, see to believe, or at least be here to experience just the suspension calibration and steering and everything. And I'll leave you with the one last note about suspension. And I purposely came on this pretty bumpy road, and you're gonna see we're about to drop the right side in a pothole, and nothing happened. You didn't feel a thing. The only thing you can kind of hear are just a slight tire impact noise because, it's got the foam in the tires, but there's only so much you can do. The way this suspension works is actually on a 48-volt hydraulic, I believe hydraulic, maybe electromechanic sway bar disconnect. So when you're normally driving, there's no sway bars connected. So as the right wheel hits a bump, it does not affect the left wheel at all. So you can drop that sucker into a huge pothole. It will absorb, go down, but it's not going to jostle the car. A lot of luxury cars, you end up getting in this floating motion, and I find it really fun. Our e-tron is really notorious for this, where yes, it's comfortable and soft, but the whole car kind of just floats down the road like a 70s Cadillac. This, you do not get that at all. When you hit a bump in the 7 Series, the wheel absorbs the bump and then comes back up, and nothing happens after that. It's unbelievable how great this suspension disconnect function is. For example, that Bronco right there has that function for off-roading. This uses it for comfort. So I really love to see all of the different ways auto technology is improving cars for their own rights, whether it's performance-oriented or for off-roading, or in this case as being literally the quietest, most comfortable, most serene vehicle I've ever driven. And so that really sums up the features on the 7 Series. I mean, we can go through all the tech stuff. The sound system, not that good, actually. I think the combustion 7 Series gets a better version of this sound system than this does. Definitely the iX I drove had a much better sound system, more bass, more clarity than what's in this i7. That's just my impression, and I've had it twice now driving the vehicle. But I guess I've only ever sampled this one. So this one should have all the good options on it, full spec. When you put the heated seat on, the heated steering wheel, the sides of the seats actually heat up. So your armrest here, the armrest on this side, the actual side of the door card heats up. And let's jump on the freeway. And it's not, a performance car. This is actually not that fast of a car. I'll go wide open throttle here. So here we are, we've reached full acceleration. And it gets up to speed, but it's no Plaid. It doesn't need to be. But this has also some of the best driver assistance out there, where I can go hands-free on pre-mapped roads and just cruise for a long time. Actually, what I should be able to do is pull up the augmented reality screen here. Let's take a look. There we go. And you can see the lane markings here. It says driver distraction, yeah. And you can see it's locked onto other vehicles around. It's just a comfortable, quiet cruiser. Also, I'm going to stop talking for a second. We're doing 70 miles an hour. Take a listen to this. Just can't hear a thing. It's unbelievable. Really crazy. So I'm going to hit the left turn signal. We're going to auto lane change into the left here for these guys. There we go. Great driver assistance. Very comfortable. Very quiet. It is the ultimate cruiser. And in terms of luxury, I don't think you could get a better chauffeur vehicle out there. It doesn't have the gaudy impression of a Maybach or a Bentley or a Rolls, but what it does have is a very technology-focused approach, a very high-quality driving experience, and I think the right image if you're pulling up somewhere. Certainly the styling of the car maybe isn't the best ever, but I think the messaging of the car is on point. 7 Series is nice, but you're not in a Phantom. You know what I mean? And it fits the executive level who's not trying to show off too much vibe. And it's got all the tech to match up perfectly. So another auto lane change back to the right with the augmented screen right there. BMW just nailed this segment, far superior to the EQS in almost every way. The range is great. I didn't do a full range test. It's over 300 miles EPA. And no complaints from me. I think it's my favorite luxury vehicle on sale today. BMW absolutely nailed it. So thanks for watching another Out of Spec Reviews video. I'm just going to cruise around, drain the battery, activate the manual battery preconditioning. Actually, take a look at this. I can go right over here to driving settings, charging, and activate manual preconditioning. And we're going to do some charge testing, but we got to drain the battery pack first. And what a shame. We have to cruise along in the beautiful 7 Series for the next few hours. Thanks for watching. See you in another one soon. Bye-bye.